Alright guys, today we are going to rebuild the carburetor on a Bolens. This is model 11a-020l765. I believe underneath it is the item number 421853. So this is made by Troy-Bilt Incorporated. It's got the classic 4-horse Briggs and Stratton motor on it. You'll know this is the same as yours, as the gas tank and carburetor primer ball setup is like this. It can be any lawnmower that has this setup on it. Any of the parts will be in the description below. Oh, the fan's blowing it away. We got the diaphragm gasket. I'll also be doing the air filter on this. I'll put all that in the description below. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is go ahead and pull the air filter off. The reason I'm doing the air filter on this one is there is no air filter on this one. This one is flooding. When I pull it over, it gets a bunch of gas in the cylinder and it won't fire. Originally it was full of water. I tried draining all the water out. Most of the time you can just clean your tank out completely. Take your spark plug out, blow it out with air, blow the tank out with air, everything's perfectly dry. Put a brand new spark plug in it, fresh, brand new bought today gas in it, and 90% of the time these engines will fire right back up. These are like the most reliable engine Briggs and Stratton ever put out. Usually they'll fire right back up. This one just keeps flooding. It's not doing that, so I have a feeling that the diaphragm is shriveled up inside there and it's just pulling too much fuel. Alright, so then we got 3/8 bolt and a 1/2 inch bolt. We're going to take this one here and this one here out of it. Now this tank, once you've got those two bolts out, is just going to pull straight out like this. Oh look, there's the spring popped off. That could have been half the problem, but it should have fired up at least. This is throttle spring. It should be hooked up here. It was already out, but that's not why it's flooding. That's throttle spring's not going to make it flood, but that is another problem with it. So we're gonna get another one of these and put it on it. All right, once you get that spring off of there, you can just let it hang right here. You pull this out, and this is like an S turn in this throttle arm right here. So just pull it up a little bit and then twist it gently out of the S. See? It's a little S turn. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and drain all of the gas out of this so that we can start with fresh new. Alright, now we've got 5 Phillips head screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, this tube can get right on off of there, no big deal. 3, 4, 5. Take all 5 of those screws out. We're going to remove the carburetor from the tank. Alright, yeah, look at that. See how shriveled up that thing got? That thing is toast. So this little flapper deal here wasn't making a good seal anymore, and it was just leaking like crazy. Look inside here. There's freaking corrosion from the water that was in here before. We're going to give this a really good blowing out with air. You can use a can of brake clean or carb cleaner and just really get all this sprayed out really well. And then any of this loose erosion here, you want to try to scrape that off with like a flathead screwdriver, a pick, or anything like that. Just try to get all the loose stuff out of there. Wire brush, if you got a little wire brush ball, you can put it in there and just scrub it around. Whatever it takes, you really need to get any of that loose stuff out of there. Any of that comes out, it's going to clog the jet, which is under this screen here. It'll clog it right up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do all that. Then we're going to go ahead and clean out the carburetor. Notice that the diaphragm is on the top side and the gasket is on the bottom side. So that's the way we want to do this again. We got to get all the old gasket material off of here. Pull this screen off, spray through the jets. Right there, so we're going to use carb cleaner. We're going to spray through that, spray through the screen, any other little openings here, clean off this gasket material. The primer ball looks like shit, but it's still in good shape and works, so I'm going to leave it alone. If you got to replace it, you push this tab in and this tab in. The new primer ball comes with new tabs, so don't worry about mangling them. Just freaking get it out. Put the primer ball in first, put the clip on afterwards, and then with a flathead screwdriver push down, you know, a little at a time each side until these tabs click into place. You clean the screen out really well with carb cleaner. Back on, that's basically the fuel filter. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and line up these gaskets. We're going to put the diaphragm first on this carburetor. Here, let me get this closer. Do not use any carb cleaner on this once you start to put the diaphragms on, or you will shrivel up the diaphragm. So we're going to line this up. Make sure it's in place. Like kind of perfectly in place if you can. Because it's going to... There we go. It's nice and perfectly in place. Then the gasket is going to go right on top of that, like this. Again, fairly perfectly in place. Then we're going to go ahead and drop the bolts right through. Remember, you got a little spring here that's going to push down on this section right there. So you want all the bolts in so that you can get them kind of lined up to the holes before any pressure is put on, so that they hold everything in place. So get all the bolts set in place like this. Then we're going to go ahead and set it in place slowly and gently. Try not to move everything around. Just kind of wiggle it around, get it to set into the gasket everywhere, and then it's in. Go ahead and gently snug up the bolts. Do not tighten them. Just get them all started first. And go like crisscross pattern. Just get them all started. I'm not trying to put any real pressure on this yet, you know. Started. And we'll bring it right down to where it's actually touching. Down to where it's touching. Down to where it's touching. Just where it's touching. Alright, now we've gotten it kind of snugged. We're going to go back through, crisscross pattern, and tighten it down. I just need my other hand, I got to hold it. It's all in place. Make sure that this white cap and O-ring are in here. Sometimes it'll end up on this tube. You got to pull it off, put the O-ring in first, and the white cap just snaps into place. Alright, all that's in place. Now we're going to bring this back over. We're going to set... Here, let me turn the torch on here. There we go. We're going to set this throttle right into, basically this tip right here is going to go into that hole right there. Let's see if I can set this where it'll record. I'm going to reach in. Line it up. And got it in just a little bit. You got to be gentle. You don't want to. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and get this secured by pushing it right onto that tube like that. Then we're going to go ahead and put in the 8mm and 1/2 inch, or the 8mm, the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch bolt right there and there. The rubber seal is going to go right on this hose like so, and then you just get it on the carburetor at the same time. Maybe start with the carburetor and work your way over to the metal pipe. I need both hands, it's not giving me. Just like that, no big deal. Just takes 2 hands. This spring here, I'm going to just bend a new hook in it and then pull the loop out a little bit so there isn't, you know, it lengthens it up a little bit again. just reuse this. It was, but apparently it's rusted and just snapping. I have another one very similar in my bucket of springs, so we're going to use that. We're going to hook it in here. I'm pretty sure that I can find this on Amazon or something. I'll see if I can find you one. Hook it on there and there. And obviously this may be a little too tight even, so I may have to like stretch it out a little bit, like a loop out of it real quick, and you know, it may take some work to get this, because it feels like it might be just a little bit tighter than this one. So I may have to play with it a little bit. I'll see if I can find you the OEM one. We're gonna go ahead and dump some fresh gas in here now, and we're gonna see if it's priming properly. So we're gonna go ahead. We got a little bit of clean, fresh gas in there. We're gonna go ahead. Oh, it looks like it's priming right up. All right, I probably flooded it, but it's good and primed. Get the gas cap back on it. That spring was perfect, actually. All right, so it fired up first pull. I didn't flood it at all. It's perfect, runs perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and put a new air filter in our cover. And I'll put these in the description below as well. Just pushes right on in. There's a thin side and a thick side. No big deal. Pop the cover back on. Now the pointy end of this always goes towards the handlebars, you know, or towards the recoil like that. That's what the way this is designed. Tighten it on. That's it. You're all ready to go. Make sure you check your oil before you start it. There's a little double line section on there. It needs to be at the top line of that, not full to the top. I use 40 weight during the summer, the heat of summer. Any small engine, I use 30 weight during the winter months or the colder months. It takes less than a quart to fill this thing up. Use non-ethanol fuel. It doesn't attract the water as much. You really got to keep this thing out of the weather, because it's the big hole right here for the vent, and it sucks the water right in. So always check your can. I like to have a fresh dry can and get just enough gas that I'm going to need to do the lawn, brand new that day every time. So, you know, these things are super reliable. You get some water and you dry them out usually, and they're ready to go. All right, guys, this helped you out in any way, shape, or form. Give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. All the parts will be in the description below. If you want to do any advertising through my channel, message me. I'll be more than happy to have you. Peace.